Okay, now we're going to have Brent Blum come up from Accenture.
Cool, thank you. Hey guys, excited to be here. Good to see a couple familiar faces in the audience as well. So my topic for today continues the thread of, while my slides are coming up, continues the thread of how to create a successful smart glasses deployment in the enterprise. And coming from a background in a management consulting company and a system integration company, we take a little bit different perspective than pure technologists, people who are just looking at the AR. So you'll hear about our views on best practices for deployment that range from really setting your projects up for success and getting support early on, all the way through to some of the technology tips I've got for you at the end. So to that point, you've heard a lot of speakers today talk about the efficiency gains that can come from smart glasses. And you think about process improvement and sharing knowledge and those sorts of things, which are tremendously important. But as a systems integrator, we also think about the millions of dollars our clients have poured into SAP and Salesforce and other legacy systems. And so those have been transformative in the ways that people have worked in the last 10 years. But the guys that haven't gotten the impact of that are the people who use their hands to do their job. You know, they've had to take off their safety gloves. They've had to walk across the shop floor. And so now what smart glasses really have the power to do is put that data in their workflow and give them access to that information and help these companies leverage the millions of dollars that they've already spent on these fantastic systems. So, 4 steps for you today to introduce smart glasses into the enterprise. Starts by getting support early on. So that includes things like mitigating risk, understanding how big the opportunity is, and looking to external benchmarks to get a sense of about how much more efficient your process could become. Then we start to think about picking a use case. And for a lot of people, that's tough because it's a big white space. But anywhere that there's employees using their hands to do their job, there's a great opportunity for smart glasses. So we'll take a look at that. It also helps to obviously talk to the people who are doing the work. Your business stakeholders have so much information to share with you and are a tremendous asset. But you also have to help them understand where the technology lies, where the opportunities lie, right? And so it's kind of a two-party conversation. Then we'll get into actually measuring the opportunity, and by that I mean how much money can we save? You know, you're not going to get your project funded if we can't actually put a dollar sign behind this and say there's $1 million, $2 million, $10, $200 million opportunity in front of us. And only after all that do I feel that you should jump into the technology. We've had clients who've taken an approach this methodical, and others who have just said, this is what I want to build, let's go do it. And I would say the results are a lot more mixed if you don't first get the support of everyone in your organization, or at least the relevant parties. Here's some ways in which our clients, the Fortune 500, are saving time and money with smart glasses. You know, things like reducing travel costs, reducing errors, positively identifying parts and equipment. I like to summarize this slide by saying that people are making better decisions sooner. You know, you don't have to put that person on a plane necessarily. You can get eyes on the problem right away and get supervisor approval. This should look somewhat familiar by now, but Paul was gracious enough to share the Boeing and Iowa State study with us. You know, now's the time when data like this is just starting to emerge. You know, internally we've got a couple benchmarks, but it's awesome when you can take to your boss or the committee approving your budget and say, you know, look, there are other people out there doing this. They experience tremendous gains, and so can we. So that's information I'm constantly collecting, and if anyone's curious and keeping up with that, reach out to me later on, and we'll all kind of share and benefit from the information that the industry is providing. And then there's a lot of objections that come up with smart glasses. Some of them come from misunderstanding, but a lot of them are very valid complaints. Things like, are these going to be distracting? And so we're working with clients now to develop systems that can that mute notifications based on location, based on being in the middle of a task. You know, so maybe you can get a notification between tasks, but not in the middle of doing something. Maybe you can get a notification in one part of the building, but not in a sensitive area or not in a high-risk area. There's also a lot of concern around the lenses. Are they impact resistant? Are they safe? A variety of companies, Rochester Optical and others, have stepped up to make ANSI certified safety shields. And so that's such an important concern for many of our clients. And then lastly, the better integrated they are with other safety equipment, whether they take the form of a smart helmet or another part of the uniform, the more likely that you'll see adherence and proper standards. There's been concern that the glasses somehow affect people's eyesight, that they create eye strain. And I'm by no means an expert in this area, but I'm happy to point to valid research that's taking place that shows that the glasses are very similar to wearing other forms of glasses, and that there's not much more strain than watching typical television programming. So these are important facts to just get everyone on board to help fund an initiative. Now that we look towards picking a use case, there's some trends you start to see over time. Specific use cases that are just better suited for particular form factors. So smart glasses are awesome at anything that involves remote expertise, approving a process, training someone or recording how steps were conducted, inspecting a product or a system, and of course walking through procedural checklists. So I like to start with a high-level idea of what could be achieved before we start getting down into the nitty-gritty specifics. Further, I share with our clients at least my vision of a roadmap for smart glasses. We've heard so many people talk today about quick wins, and that's definitely the case. So one of the things I advocate is just starting with what we call the over-the-shoulder coach use case, where a remote expert is connected to someone out in the field. And even through that, there will be so much to learn about how to get the glasses on a corporate network, whether there's enough Wi-Fi connectivity or you need to go with a cellular connection, and just how to create an optimized experience for that user. And then after that, you can start taking on challenges in terms of, all right, let's integrate with SAP, let's do some more exciting things from a data standpoint. And then our most mature, most adventurous clients are starting to break ground on augmented reality applications. As I alluded to earlier, the last part of picking a use case is, of course, talking to your business stakeholders. They have so much to teach you, and even the process of identifying them can be tremendously impactful. So get their support, and in our best projects, we've talked to people throughout the business, throughout the world, to get their perspective. And what that gives you in the end is a list of about 10 or 20 great use cases. You can start to rank them to say they're more suitable or less suitable, there's more value, they're easier to achieve or not. And by then, and this is of course the typical management consultant quadrant, you can end up with a view that says, all right, here are the use cases, they're easiest to achieve, they have the most value, this is where we should start. And if you've got the resources, the next really powerful step is to then make a business case that further says, all right, in just 2 use cases or 3 or 5 use cases, we stand to save X million dollars, and that's backed by research. I showed you a couple slides ago, right? You can wrap it up in a really nice package that helps convince management that your project's worth funding. Now I like to introduce the technology, and in doing so, it's important, typical project sorts of things, get the right requirements, do a market scan, look at what's out there. Of course, the industry's moving so quickly. And as you start to form your proof of concept, this is where you want to test the technology assumptions and the technology risks that you previously identified. Again, getting smart glasses on a corporate network isn't always easy, but at the same time, don't be terrified of it. It's an IT project. There'll be any number of challenges that might have nothing to do with the smart glasses. As you approach your pilot, pick a small group of passionate stakeholders that will be likely to share their success, that have the time to participate, and that's where you want to test the assumptions from your business case. If you assumed there'd be a 10% efficiency lift, well, let's find out. Put those same people to test and see how much more efficient they can truly become. And then from there, and of course, define measurable outputs, right? Let's make sure we've got the proper metrics in place to share that success. And then spread it through the business. From that small team of passionate stakeholders, take it to other groups who will be just as excited to share from the knowledge that you've learned. Done right, it looks something like this. You started by interviewing stakeholders. You gathered a variety of different use cases. You narrowed it down to the top 3 or 5. You built a business case around that, and then gathered your technology requirements. You looked in the market to see what met those requirements, and you launched a proof of concept based on that. From there, you launched a pilot and measured the results, and went on to share it with others. When we think about the actual deployment, this is a slide I probably change, a couple times a month, but best practices so far from our perspective, don't cheat. Don't port your Android app off of the mobile phone onto smart glasses. It just never ends well. Start fresh, optimize for that form factor and the unique talents and attributes of smart glasses. We talked about looking for answers to early obstacles. Even things like mobile device management are starting to have answers, and battery life, even if it's as simple as tucking a Mophie in someone's shirt or pants pocket, it goes a long way to dispelling concerns around performance. I talked about that we've had projects where the wearables weren't the hard part, the smart glasses weren't the hard part, so don't overlook even boring things like getting access to a server, getting an instance spun up. What parts of IT do you need to talk to get permission to put these devices on the network? That can take a tremendous amount of time. The best use cases also have nothing to do, at least in the early stages, with monitoring employees. We've seen that those are the kinds of projects where smart glasses just get lost or surprisingly break, right? And we've all got enough tools in our job where there's so many systems and usernames and passwords, right? We don't want to throw another tool at someone. So really make this about empowering your workforce, helping them do their job better. And if they truly believe they can do their job better, then you'll have a successful pilot. There's a number of enterprise-grade smart glasses platforms that are emerging, many of which are sponsors of today's event. Start there. It's a tremendous boost. It's an efficiency gain. It gets you 20% of the way down the road. And you've got security and encryption and user management, all those important features that really aren't fun to build from scratch. What else? We talked about quick wins and over-the-shoulder coaching. And then lastly, we just encourage our clients to think big. Even if we're starting with small ideas, think big, start small, and then scale fast. Thank you, guys.